The simple quantum shift is this: stop. Stop forcing, stop doubting, stop chasing. Sounds too simple to work, right? But it's exactly in this moment of pause that the law of attraction responds. You probably believe that transforming your reality takes months, maybe years of visualization, effort and healing. That learning how to manifest is something you need to earn by suffering long enough. That alignment only comes after mastering every manifestation technique. But what if I told you that the real quantum leap happens in a moment so subtle that most people simply don't notice it? There's a hidden pattern that appears right before someone's life transforms. Not when they work harder, not when they try to force the law of attraction, but when something inside them stops. And if you feel like you came here for some special reason, subscribe to the channel now and write in the comments one word that describes how you feel right now. Because I'm going to show you exactly why simplicity is the one thing your ego can't handle when it comes to manifestation. But first, I need to talk about something you felt, but maybe never could name: the resistance to ease. That moment when things start flowing and you get scared, when you have deep inner knowing and your mind demands proof. You felt it. The tension between your soul's clarity and your ego's survival patterns. We live in a world addicted to struggle. Effort is glorified. Complexity is worshipped. If something seems too simple, it must be wrong. If it comes too easily, it must be undeserved. But the law of attraction doesn't respond to how hard you work. It responds to how clear your energy is. And the clarity to attract abundance is almost always found in simplicity. The challenge is that simplicity threatens the false self. Because if it's simple, then what was all that struggle for? If it's simple, what does that mean about the identity you built around trying, fixing, proving? Simplicity removes the drama. And when there's no more drama, there's nothing left to hide behind. That's why most people unconsciously sabotage their own leaps. Not because they're broken, but because they fear how quiet the truth about how to manifest really is. They expect lightning, they get stillness, they want fireworks. The law of attraction offers silence, but it's in that silence where the leap lives. The universe is always mirroring. It's not waiting for your next affirmation. It's vibrating with your current identity. And the moment you release the need to force and simply become, the cycle changes. You stop waiting for the external to validate the internal. You stop adjusting your energy to circumstances. Instead, you hold your tone to attract abundance, no matter what. This is the difference between manifesting through effort and making the quantum shift. Manifesting often implies creating something from lack. Making the shift is becoming the version of you that already exists in another now. And the only thing separating you from that timeline is your energy filter. Not time, not effort, just energy aligned with the law of attraction. So let me ask you, what if it's not that how to manifest is hard, but that it's unfamiliar? What if you've been trying to think your way into a new timeline instead of feeling your way there? What if the real block isn't your environment, but your attachment to complex manifestation techniques? But in a moment, I'm going to show you why most people fail to stabilize their signal and why your blind spots might be creating interference that the law of attraction can't interpret. You'll discover the hidden ways you resist alignment and how to start broadcasting from a place the universe can finally hear. If quantum shifting is so simple, then why do so few people experience real manifestation? Why does it feel like some invisible wall keeps you repeating the same emotional patterns, even when you know you can do better? Why do your efforts to attract abundance plateau right when you think you're getting close? It's because simplicity requires something far more demanding than effort. It requires awareness about how to manifest really works. And awareness without the safety net of complexity can feel terrifying. When things are complicated, you can blame the tools, the method, the manifestation techniques. When it's simple, there's nowhere to hide. The spotlight turns inward, and you're left with one question: am I really ready to change? Let's start with what blocks most people from holding the right energy: blind spots. These aren't flaws, they're patterns you're too close to see, emotional reactions you've normalized. Stories you've repeated so many times, they now feel like truth. But here's the point. The law of attraction doesn't respond to what you consciously want. It responds to what you unconsciously are. So while your mind visualizes abundance, your energy might still be programmed for scarcity. Not because you're not trying to learn how to manifest, but because you never questioned your default signal. Take a moment to feel this. What do you broadcast when no one's watching? What's the emotional climate of your inner world when you're not doing the work? That's your real energy. That's what the universe is picking up through the law of attraction. And now we come to the 4 skills that really matter to attract abundance. The first is awareness without judgment. I'm not just talking about daily reflection. I'm talking about developing the kind of awareness that watches your thoughts while they're happening, without judgment, without trying to fix them. The kind of awareness that recognizes when you're reacting from survival and chooses not to collapse into that state. The second shift is even harder: total responsibility over your manifestation. This is where your energy starts to clean itself. It's not about blaming yourself for everything. It's about owning everything you're emitting, especially the parts you'd rather reject. When you shift from "why is this happening to me" to "what is this showing me about how to manifest," the universe starts mirroring you differently. Victimhood is loud but confusing. Responsibility is quiet but magnetic to attract abundance. And then comes the skill that amplifies everything: accountability states. These are the energetic anchors you return to no matter what life throws at you. Most people wait for life to validate their state, but those who really know how to manifest hold their energy until life has to reflect it. Accountability means showing up for your state even when it's inconvenient, even when the evidence says you're crazy, even when you feel like your manifestation techniques aren't working. And finally, the most paradoxical one: detachment from interpretation. We're taught to judge everything. This is good. This is bad. This means I'm close. This means I failed. But what if your lowest moment is actually the final phase before the shift? What if what feels like a breakdown is simply your old energy collapsing? Detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't label. You let the experience move through you without assigning meaning, because the law of attraction isn't linear. The darkest moment might be exactly the adjustment needed for the light to arrive. You're not just learning to think differently. You're learning to hold your vibration as if it were the only truth about how to manifest. And that takes courage. It's easier to distract yourself with methods and mantras. It's harder to sit in stillness and admit, "I've been stuck," because I'm still filtering life through old stories. Quantum shifting isn't complex, but it's precise when it comes to the law of attraction. It cuts straight through illusion. It exposes the parts of you that still need chaos to feel alive and asks, will you finally let those pieces rest? But now we come to the moment that almost always comes before a true quantum shift. And this is where most people quit, because they don't understand what's happening. There's a moment, subtle, disorienting, and often misunderstood. It's when the old timeline starts to loosen, but the new one hasn't anchored yet. You feel suspended, like you're standing in a hallway between two realities. The past no longer fits, the future isn't clear, and everything inside you is screaming to do something, when in truth, you're right on the edge of attracting abundance. This space is sacred, but it doesn't feel that way. It often shows up as confusion, fatigue, misalignment, even despair. You might feel like you're failing, that the path you were so sure about suddenly vanished, that your vision is breaking down instead of coming alive. And if you don't know what's happening, you'll interpret this as a sign to turn back, to shrink, to try more manifestation techniques, or worse yet, to doubt the law of attraction. But here's the truth. This isn't a collapse. This is a calibration. Before any quantum jump, your field has to let go of its current pattern. Think of it like detuning from one radio station before locking into another. There's static in between. That static feels like disorientation, like emotional noise, like the impulse to run. But it's not a warning. It's a threshold. The old energy can't hold your next chapter. That's why it feels like things are falling apart. What's really happening is, the energy that held your old identity together is disassembling. The beliefs, habits, and energetic patterns that defined who you were are losing their charge. And without that charge, your ego has nothing to grip when it comes to how to manifest. So it panics. It creates fear, doubt, restlessness. This moment before the shift is where most people quit, Not because the universe says no, but because they interpret the friction as failure instead of the friction of transformation. The truth is, if it feels shaky, you're close. If things seem uncertain, you're almost there. Because what you're really experiencing is your energy releasing everything that no longer aligns with attracting abundance. This is where the skill of detachment becomes vital. If you judge this transitional space too soon, you'll assign it meaning that pulls you backward. You'll call it wrong. You'll name it as proof that nothing is working. And the moment you do that, you stabilize the old pattern again. But if you can stay centered, not in effort but in awareness, something starts to shift beneath the surface. The chaos softens, the edges dissolve. You begin to feel your way forward through the law of attraction, not force it. That's when you become magnetic. Not because you're trying, but because you've stopped leaking energy in the form of resistance. Before the shift, your nervous system is learning to hold more power. And that power doesn't come from intensity. It comes from alignment. When you choose to stay present in uncertainty without labeling it, your field organizes itself around your stillness. That's the moment the quantum responds. So what can you do in that space? Nothing in the traditional sense of forced manifestation techniques. This isn't the time to fix, fight, or push. This is the time to tune. Your job isn't to force a new reality. Your job is to become available for it. That's the real shift. Not controlling the outcome, but surrendering to the vibration that already contains it. And now let's talk about signals. You've probably heard that the universe responds to energy, not words. But here's what most people don't realize. Your energy is always broadcasting, whether you want it to or not. And what you're broadcasting isn't your intention to attract abundance. It's what you actually embody. You can say, "You're ready." You can write affirmations, meditate, even visualize every detail of your dream timeline. But if underneath all of that, your signal is mixed with doubt, urgency, fear, or performance, that's the true message the law of attraction is receiving. And the universe doesn't respond to language, it mirrors energy. So what does this really mean? It means your inner world is your only strategy. Your nervous system is the instrument that tunes your life. And alignment, that deep attunement between thought, emotion, and state, is the signature the universe listens to. Alignment doesn't require perfection in manifestation techniques. It requires presence. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you're even slightly off the station, all you get is static. You might hear a word here, a melody there, but it's fragmented, distorted. The same is true for your field. When your energy is filled with contradiction, wanting but not believing, asking but not receiving, speaking but not feeling, your signal comes through unclear, confused. And confusion gets one response from the universe: delay. That's why making quantum shifts isn't about doing more. It's about cleaning the signal for the law of attraction. And cleaning doesn't mean hiding your feelings. It means aligning them. It means owning your energy so completely that there's no split between your intention and what you actually feel. But here's the catch. Most people try to force alignment. They try to think their way into a feeling. They analyze their vibration, overprocess their blocks, manage their inner state like a project, but alignment doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. You can't fake energy. You can't think your way into magnetic alignment. You feel your way there by softening into the truth of who you already are, someone capable of attracting abundance naturally. So what creates that level of energy? Clarity, stillness, honesty, choosing to embody what you want before it shows up. Not in performance, not in delusion, but in calm certainty. This is the energetic signal the law of attraction responds to. I already am. I already hold. I already vibrate this way. Not because it's here, but because it's true about how to manifest. And this is where your field begins to shift. Not from effort, not from struggle, but from attunement. When your nervous system begins to trust your energy, it stabilizes. And when your signal stabilizes, your external reality can finally organize around it. Now let's explore how the universe really responds. Because if you've ever wondered why some intentions seem to manifest instantly while others float endlessly in possibility, the answer is this. The law of attraction doesn't reward desire. It reflects your dominant vibration. And that vibration is dictated by one thing: where your attention consistently lives. The universe is infinite. Every version of you already exists in it. Every potential outcome is already encoded, waiting not to be created but to be observed. Quantum physics tells us that particles don't form into matter until they're observed, focused on, collapsed from wave into form, which means your attention isn't just passive, it's creative. It chooses which version of reality steps forward. That's why making quantum shifts isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about selecting them with your focus and stabilizing that selection with your state. Most people don't realize their attention is fragmented. They think about abundance in the morning, worry about lack in the afternoon, and fall asleep in a fog of doubt. That's not consistency, that's chaotic broadcasting. The universe doesn't punish that chaos, it just reflects it. That's why results seem scrambled, delayed, unclear. But when your attention becomes a laser, when you learn to hold your vision without chasing it, needing it, or doubting it, something extraordinary happens. The potential timeline begins to organize around you. People, resources, moments, and even micro-decisions align, not through effort, but through entrainment, through similar energy. You're not forcing reality to change. You're collapsing into the version of reality that's already vibrating at your frequency. But here's the part almost no one talks about. You don't shift with thought alone. You shift with identity. Your thoughts might want the change, but your subconscious identity, the deep, often unspoken emotional signature you operate from, might still be tuned to the old pattern. And if that's the case, the universe will mirror the identity, not the thought. This is where the inner work becomes sacred. Not as a to-do list, but as a returning. Every time you bring yourself back to alignment, not from fixing, but from remembering, you reinforce a new identity. Not an identity you're trying to become, but one that already exists inside you, waiting for permission to lead. So ask yourself, who are you being right now? Not in performance, not in effort, but in tone, in truth, in stillness. Because that version of you, the one already living the life you've been visualizing, isn't waiting. It's available, and you access it not by reaching but by receiving. Now let's bring this journey home. You now understand that the universe doesn't respond to effort. It responds to alignment. It doesn't care what you say you want. It reflects what you consistently are. And the shift isn't out there, it's within. Simpler than anyone dares to believe. So simple, in fact, that the ego often overlooks it, dismisses it, or tries to complicate it. But here's what those who actually shift, those who live new timelines, know. Simplicity isn't a trap. It's the truth. And the reason so few stabilize in their new reality isn't because they're doing it wrong. It's because they don't stay long enough in the signal that allows it to become real through the law of attraction. So let's say it plainly. You don't make quantum shifts by doing more manifestation techniques. You shift by aligning more cleanly, more calmly, more truthfully. You shift when you stop chasing the version of you that already exists and start being it. Now that doesn't mean you fake it. It doesn't mean you force joy when you feel grief. It means you hold space for the full spectrum of experience without collapsing your identity. That's emotional mastery. That's energetic maturity. That's what the law of attraction responds to. You're not here to chase the shift. You're here to embody the one who shifts easily. And once you realize that, life stops being a pursuit and becomes a mirror. That's when you move through reality differently. Your energy enters the room before you do. You speak less, but are heard more. You ask less and receive more. Not because you're manipulating the universe, but because you are the universe in harmony with itself, someone who naturally knows how to manifest. That's why the masters don't teach complex methods. They transmit states. They help you feel something ancient already alive within you about your natural ability to attract abundance. They don't add, they reveal. And so this is your invitation to remember what you already are, right now, in this moment. The timeline exists. The one where you are clear, calm, magnetic, certain, aligned. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because you're no longer outsourcing your frequency to your circumstances. Let this be the shift that stabilizes. Let this be the signal you return to again and again, not to perform but to belong. If this conversation touched something deep in you, if some part resonated deeply, if something clicked, write in the comments, "I am the shift." And subscribe to the channel now, not just for the next video, but for the next version of you. Because if you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just a video, it's a transmission. And something in you, something subtle but unmistakable, has already started to rearrange. You've always been the shift, and now the universe knows it too.